Hey everybody, Sean O'Connor here from Macabre Daily, and we have the second installment of Desert Island Discs. I don't know if we can still call it this. Are we still landing on the desert island?
We're bringing quite the collection with us.
Desert Island Dorks.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Nailed it
Speak
in
for
one.
yourself,
That is
Hanson.
perfect. Hurtful, but perfect.
There we go.
All right, so this installment, we are rolling out your top three favorite practical effects. Robert, I'm looking at you, directly at you, in a horror movie.
There it
Robert.
is. There it is.
Robert.
Yes, that's fine.
Robert's like, I like the rouge in my beautiful lingerette. I thought that was okay. So let's just get to it because I want to save all the time for unpacking these incredible movies. So you guys know the routine. We're gonna go one at a time. We'll start with Erik. I'm gonna work my way around the dial here. So we'll go.
Wait, Sean, you haven't even introduced us, man. Where are we from?
Hey, motherfucker! This is my show.
Oh, yeah. Drag him.
You get an introduction when you deserve one.
Let me handle this, Sean.
Destroy him. 1982, what? Drag him. Destroy him.
Leave it to Hanson to be like, I don't like the way this
Hey,
is.
man, you were jumping right in. All right, what's your pick, Erik? I'm like, wait a second, man.
Just
Tell
let me
people
know
who
what
I
the
am.
number is.
He needs a little romance first. Come on. Come on.
Yeah, where's the foreplay, baby?
This fucking Desert Island Dorks is already the worst.
It is the worst, but it's the best, too.
Okay, so we're gonna go Erik, Steve, Jarrod, Robert, and then myself. Let's get to the introductions, shall we? We have none other than the bossiest prick on the planet,
Oh,
Hanson.
how dare you talk about Robert that way?
Oh, don't worry. I got his number. From the Cradle to the Grave podcast, one of the best podcasts out there.
Oh, man. Oh, dude, I'll Venmo you that 20 later, dude. Thank you,
Well,
man. Appreciate that.
Let's give some kudos where they belong. Erik just finished 30 days of the 1982 I'm calling it the Watchathon. I kind of like that.
Watchathon's good.
Sure.
Let's do it.
Jarrod let it be known that we missed a couple of great movies there, but the picks were fantastic. The guests were even more incredible. I found a lot of follows that I hadn't been privy to prior. You opened up my world to a whole bunch of incredible talent, and I thank you for that because
I'm here to help.
Incredible guests on there.
Yeah, that was super fun, man. It was like that was a weird experiment that I just threw together like 2 days before I decided to do it. Like, oh, you know what? Let's do this. And I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out, but it was amazing. Like, it was only one glitch where I had one guest had to unfortunately bow out, but thankfully I called on the Gravediggers. Sean, you came, and Matt Orozco came and covered for that guest. But other than that, it was across the board one of the coolest things that I've done on the podcast, and it was also a really cool way to work out my podcast muscles because that shit's all live, man. I can't go back and edit that shit, right? So you really got to be on your A game. So it kind of helped me with my normal podcast where I do the Zooms and I edit and all that shit. It just kind of really helped like interact with a guest. I recommend Jarrod and Steve, you try that, man. Do a live Instagram chat with some of your guests. It's actually really cool. It's fun.
Well, Erik, it was interesting watching because it was a fun way for you to announce to the world that you are a free time billionaire, which we are not.
Must be nice.
Wait a second. There were a bunch of chats where I was in the cab of my work truck on a break.
Kidding. I'm kidding.
Most of them were done after work,
Bentley.
but yes.
All
But
right.
thank you, Sean. Thank you, Sean, for all
Wait,
those
Erik, was
nice
I the
words you had to
first
say about
one
me.
who was I the first one who was in a car?
No,
'Cause
Sean was in a car.
Okay, because I remember being like, this wasn't part of the plan.
And then one time Sean was in the bathtub, but we won't talk about that one. That
Ooh.
was
Can we?
That was 82 Watchathon After Dark.
oh yeah.
Talk about a practical effect. Ooh, hey.
But no, Sean, thanks again for all the help that you did for the
course.
82 Watchathon, and Jarrod and Robert. Robert, you were on a couple times as well. Steve, I didn't get you on. I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. I've
Next
been
time, baby.
swamped
I'm
like
gonna
crazy,
get you for
but
the 83 Watchathon.
Well, I was
That's
just
my
gonna
year
say,
anyway. That's my
I'm
vintage.
hoping-
So
There you go.
I know you need a rest, but I'm hoping that you'll tackle another year for another month.
I need a rest, but maybe in a couple of months we'll do it again.
Yeah, do it during the winter, man. Like February when it's boring and there's nothing going on. That'd be fantastic.
Okay, cool.
You
Okay,
got a short month then if you do it then.
there you
You
go.
can still act like it's a month.
True.
Okay, the intro is taking 45 minutes.
Let's
We have got the dual combo of Steve Guntli and Jarrod Hornbeck, the Wonder Twin powers that activate to bring you the Puppet Masters Castle Freaks podcast. It is a Charles Band extravaganza. Their guests are phenomenal. Their topic is phenomenal. And they are the two most intelligent, comprehensive, and fun encyclopedias of full moon fever and horror in general. You guys, I'm going to expand it just past the niche. You guys know everything about horror. Jarrod, I'm going to put you on the spot real quick
Sure.
1 second because please don't tell me it passed. When are you going to be at Lucky 13?
Oh, so I don't know the exact date. It didn't pass yet. It's going to be in August.
Oh, good.
I'll let you know once I know. We're trying to figure out the scheduling because Brooklyn Horror Society does all their events on Wednesdays. So we're just trying to figure, I'm going to be out of town for one, a couple of them are going to be out of town for another. We're just trying to lock it down, but you definitely did not miss it. It will be at least probably 5 weeks from now.
Fantastic, because I want to be front row for that and make faces at you and mess you up. Steve, when's the play come out?
The play is going on right now. Hyde Park Theater in Austin, Texas. If you come out and see Betrayal, I'm going to be doing that through the end of July, every Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So niche crowd, but you know what? It's a great show. I'm very proud of it. And it's been a lot of hard work.
Well, you should be, man. That's fantastic. We're proud of you as well.
Well, I appreciate that.
And then we have some Eric in the corner who wrote 2 books. He's got two Stokers, whatever. Let's
Some
go.
guy.
Move on.
Oh, me.
We have award-winning, I have to say it, multiple award-winning author, Robert Ottone. Robert, I'm so proud of you, and you know I love you to death. I don't know why I pretend that it upsets me when I announce your Stokers. It's so stupid.
I would hope it doesn't upset anybody.
I'm still walking on air. I know the only person that beats me in this is you, because if you watch the video on Instagram and you see Robert's acceptance speech, it is so heartwarming. I dare you not to cry watching this acceptance speech, and it's so heartfelt, and it is so well deserved, my friend.
Thank you. I love that book. I'm glad it got some love from the HWA and from everybody. So that makes me really happy. I'm still reeling from it. It feels like it was a month and a half ago, but it was only like 2 weeks ago. It's weird.
Right? Well, buckle up for 2026 because Hurricane Hanson and Typhoon O'Connor are touching shore in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
We're coming for you, man.
Tickets already bought, dude.
Mine too.
All right. Now we're going to get to it. Top 3 practical effects. Now, I'm just going to qualify this, gang. You don't have to love the entire movie. You just have to love the effect. So, you don't have to you don't have to go to bat trying to justify whether the movie is good or not. Let's just talk about the effect and why you think it's great and what it meant to you at the time when you first saw it. Erik, we're going to start with you. Give us number 1.
Okay. I think there needs to be a little more, a bit of a caveat that we had decided as a group, as the dorks, that we were not going to pick The Thing or American Werewolf in London because those goes without saying how important those movies are.
They're on the Mount Rushmore already.
Yeah. Because we would all of us would have picked The Thing and American Werewolf in London. It would have been a boring fucking show. So those are off the table.
I just want to say
podcasts that already talk about that.
I just want to say, Erik, you said that way nicer than I was planning on saying it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm a nice guy.
You are. I can.
So yeah, but with that said, my first pick. So I'm kind of going old school, man. I'm going with not really what meant something to me, but what meant something to cinema as a whole, and really kind of like moved special effects forward. So my first pick for practical effects is King Kong from 1938. right?
Wow. Okay. All
Directed by
right. All
Marion
right. All
C.
right.
Cooper. There it is, King
Fantastic.
Kong right there. This is a super influential film. I mean, it was back in 33, people thought this shit was real, man. Oh, where'd they find this giant ape at, man? You had the stop motion effects by Willis H. O'Brien. There was also they used rear projection, they used matte painting, they used miniatures. They pulled out the stops for this. This thing was a hit and highly influential. Like I said, you got filmmakers like Guillermo del Toro and Peter Jackson that will reference this as being what made them want to make movies. And the list goes on and on and on. And the reverberations of King Kong still felt today. So I really think that this is ground zero for practical effects.
Nice. That's a fantastic way
Hmm.
to start this off.
Thank you.
Steve, what have you got?
Well, I will tell you, my picks are all going to be a lot trashier than that one, but I stand by them nonetheless. Let's begin with a personal favorite of mine, the 1992 film Dead Alive by Peter Jackson, the single goriest movie ever made, but it is so funny and so cartoonish and so over the top that it becomes endearing. And that movie culminated, I mean, that movie has great special effects throughout the entire thing. But there is the final like 25-30 minute chunk of that movie where all hell is just breaking loose and the zombies are rampaging all over the house is just a masterpiece of chaotic practical effects everywhere. I mean, living intestines with faces and half a baby getting kicked around and a little sliding like severed head. It's all so goopy and cool looking and done on the cheap, and it's really kind of a marvel. So, Dead Alive, if you have not seen it, it's one of the best.
This is
Monster and Rat
exactly
Monkey.
this is
Yeah.
exactly what I'm talking about. I want people watching this or listening to this. I want this to open up their watching avenue, so to speak.
Yeah.
So great. Not necessarily a deep cut, but it's not necessarily on people's radar. Early
You have to dig it
Jackson.
up. You have to dig. I don't really know where it's streaming these days, and there's multiple versions of it. So definitely do not skimp and make sure you are getting the full NC-17 or unrated version of it. There is an R-rated cut that cuts basically everything I'm talking about.
Yeah.
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 I never saw it until I met my wife, because she loves that movie. Like I never watched it. I was never really a Peter Jackson fan until I met my wife.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, no, that was the movie that tipped me towards Peter Jackson. Like that was I was a big fan of that movie and The Frighteners when I was young. So
Mm.
when I heard that Lord of the Rings was happening, like I didn't give a shit about Lord of the Rings, but I'm like, "Oh God, the Dead Alive guy is making a new movie." So that was very exciting to me.
Robert, are you a Jackson fan now? Where do you stand on Jackson?
I love Peter Jackson. I was actually going to, but I figured Hanson would get upset. I was going to say The Lord of the Rings is probably one of the greatest practical effects movies of all time, employing an
Genuinely
entire
true.
nation of people to make armor and fighting
True.
Urukai. It's just that, yeah, I love Peter Jackson. He made the greatest trilogy of all time. I'm not going to hear Star Wars. I'm over it. Let it go. It's for babies.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings, always and forever, greatest trilogy of all time, without fucking
I
question.
love Jarrod giving the thumbs up. All
I
right,
don't like
Jarrod,
I don't like Star Wars, man.
the, fl-
Boring.
the floor is yours, my friend. What do you got?
So, as not shockingly, I had a feeling, we still have like 13 more movies or something to do on this list, and I was positive that I scribbled a list of maybe like 10 movies, and then I went and crossed a bunch out because I was like, people are gonna pick this. Dead Alive was one of them.
Hmm.
Crossed off because I said somebody's probably going to pick this. So what I started to think about was A, what was sort of formative for me? What was a movie, whether it was one particular practical effect or a movie with amazing practical effects in general. And then B, what is something that the rest of them might not pick? Was sort of what guided me into my thought process. Uh, there's two movies I have that are going to be that are by the same director, and you probably wouldn't guess without me saying who that director is. But the first one I want to say is, and I'm not going to pick one particular effect. It's just a by and large, just from start to finish, what was done in an age when computer generated effects were just really starting and probably felt like the cutting edge. The decision to go practical in Chuck Russell's remake of The Blob from 1988.
Oh, I'm crossing it off my list. Literally, it was in my three. It was in my three.
Oh,
So
was it
thank you.
I
really?
love
It
I love
sure
how
was.
Jarrod spends
Thank-
like 5 minutes building up his pick. I'm like,
That's how you gotta
just
do it.
fucking say it, man.
Nope.
Say it.
No, I want you edging this whole time.
I have alts. So because I knew this was gonna happen. But yeah, no, the blob fucking rules.
I
Yeah,
had it
and
on
I
my
can't
list as
even
well.
pick. Did you really? I can't even pick one particular effect. Like when we first got the email about it, like best practical effects, like, and I started thinking about, okay, well, what movies do I think fit the bill? I ended up that's funny because I ended up crossing ones off my list that I thought were more populist picks. All right, well, let's see where this goes.
Jarrod, if you don't mind, I'm gonna step in here real quick because I do want to point out one effect. It is when Donovan Leitch gets spoiler alert for a movie that's 40 years old. When Donovan Leitch gets killed, and the way they figured out how to do that effect, where the blob is rolling over him as he's reaching out for Shawnee Smith, it was gelatinized parachute silk. And that's what this is all about. It's just the ingenuity of men and women getting together and saying, all right, how the fuck are we going to do this? And it's like MacGyvering something incredible just out of pure imagination and ingenuity and skill. But it's just, I mean, it's a marvel to you watch that effect and then you watch anything that's in a Marvel movie. And I'm not trying to put boots here, but Erik, we were talking about this yesterday with Matt. Um, you know, practical effects, they can look fake, but they feel real. And CGI looks real, but it feels fake. And it's always going to be about the feeling that you get. If you feel it, then you're engaged in it. If you're just seeing it, then it could pass by. But every damn effect in that movie is so painstakingly incredible, you
Yeah,
know? So
yeah.
just
Just
wanted
Nick Benson and Lyle Conway and Stuart Ziff, the guys responsible for a lot of that stuff. Like, just phenomenal work.
yeah. There's a podcast that I do in my head called Practically Perfect. Trademark. I'll call my lawyers. Um, but maybe someday, when we all retire, I'll get you 40 minutes together and we'll do it. All right, Robert, what do you got for us?
When I think about practical effects, I think about sort of like what you said. No matter how it looks, as long as it feels real. When it's in the room, it's like when people say that the Jaws shark doesn't look real. It's like, well, fuck you, that thing's real. So it's like I think about stuff like that, and I think about like, well, if you have an insane premise based on a great book that attempts to do the impossible and does it and executes it flawlessly, and then you have a movie that in many ways executes it even better, and that would be The Exorcist. I have to say, if any movie's going to convince you of what a satanic possession would look like in a small child, this is it.
Sure.
Terrifying. I work with kids. I have seen kids go through some pretty horrific stuff, but obviously never anything like that. That would be interesting. That would be my bestseller. But nevertheless, I think Dick Smith's work in The Exorcist is hard to top in a lot of ways. And I think a lot of modern guys, I think like Rob Bottin, even now would say it's pretty hard to top what Dick Smith did in The Exorcist, and he did the thing. Like I feel like all of these guys look at Dick Smith as like, oh yeah, you're the one.
How about what Dick Smith did in Little Big Man?
Right.
Like it's just you can't even wrap your head around it. So fantastic pick. All right, I'm gonna go. Hopefully, this is a deep cut for you guys. I'm gonna go with Brian De Palma's The Fury.
Oh, hell yeah.
The last 45 seconds of that film where Nick Cassavetes explodes. And De Palma films it from like 7 different angles. And the funny story is they filmed it once, they blew it up, and they couldn't get one usable take with 7 cameras. And the entire room was coated in blood. And well, fake blood. And it took a week for them to clean the set down to shoot it again, but it was kind of a happy accident because the second take was so much better because the head actually shoots up towards
Hmm.
one of the cameras. And it's just, I mean, I love the movie to begin with, based on a pretty great John Farris novel. The movie's great. You got a Kirk Douglas chewing scenery like it's toast. Um, Amy Irving coming off Carrie. Now she's Carrie. Topama coming off Carrie and doing another telekinesis movie. It's so bonkers, and it's exactly what I love. When you're like, none of these people should have done any of these things, and it's a fantastic B grade
Hmm.
gem with arguably one of the best body explosions ever put to film.
Oh yeah,
That's my first pick.
good pick.
Yeah.
Thank you, my man.
Good effect. Good effect.
All right, Eric, what do you got for number two?
Oh man. All right. All right. All right. Because I'm the oldest guy here. I'm gonna pick a movie that came out when I was 12. Frankenstein from 1931. Um, and now, much like Robert's pick, it's this. I guess it's more makeup than effects. You know, like Dick Smith is a makeup
That's fine.
artist.
It's still an effect.
But I think that Jack Pierce's makeup for Frankenstein influenced practical effects all the way to like, American Werewolf in London. Like Rick Baker and Dick Smith got into this industry Frank, because of Jack Pierce and his iconic Frankenstein design. When you hear the word Frankenstein, guess what image pops into your head every fucking time? It's the Jack Pierce design, which apparently was drawn by his daughter from a dream. I didn't know that, which that's kind of weird, right? But I just think that makeup has stood the test of time. It's iconic. It's still creepy as fuck. I mean, it's influenced so many other horror films that have come down since Frankenstein. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Frankenstein 31, baby.
I love
Very
it that you're
nice.
going old school. Good
I
stuff.
am going old school, man.
Oh, I'm glad someone is. That's great. All right, Steve, what do you got for us?
All right. Since we're running the gamut a little bit here, I'm going to go aggressively new school and get a very, very recent practical effect that I thought was pretty incredible, especially when I learned that it was, in fact, a practical effect because I didn't understand how they pulled it off otherwise. I'm talking about the movie Smile 2, the final scene, the concert scene of Smile 2, where the spoiler alert if you haven't seen it yet, but there's
I haven't.
a thing emerges from a person, and it is one of the more shocking looking creature
That
designs I've
was
seen in a recent
practical?
movie. That's practical.
Dude,
Yeah,
that's insane.
that's amazing. You can see behind the scenes footage of how they made that thing, and it's like so cool. It's just a lot of old school tricks.
That's incredible.
Uh, and it looks unbelievable, and it's a really distinctive image. For a movie that is nothing like I thought it was going to be in a good way. Like I think
Yeah.
that was a surprisingly like complex, like thoughtful movie that
Steve, how
had
about the first 10 minutes of that film?
incredible.
Incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, so good. That's the Kyle Gallner bit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like, yeah, I mean, really cool and takes the series in a very different direction. This could have just been like a very quick, all right, well, Smile worked, let's do Smile again. That's really not what Smile 2 is. And so it's a pretty impressive movie overall, but that final shot was really distinctive and very cool. And I'm just glad that we're having this kind of modern resurgence in practical effects in horror, even in big studio horror like Smile 2. So
I
yeah.
thought you were going to say The Substance when you were saying in a recent thing. I was getting all hot to bother over here. I was like, yeah, let's go, Substance. Here we go.
It's on the short list for sure because I love The Substance. But yeah, yeah.
I didn't see Smile 2 because the first one was The Ring for Idiots. So I didn't want to bother with the second one.
You might be surprised. You
Second
really
one's
might
good.
be.
Hearing.
Yeah, you might
Yeah.
be surprised by what
Yeah,
they're
check it out,
trying to
Robert.
do with that movie.
I agree with Steve. You might be surprised on this one.
Mhm.
All right, Jarrod, what do you got there, buddy?
All right, so I'm gonna break my thing up a little bit. I'm staying, not as old, not as new as Smile 2, not as old as Eric's picks, but the movie that we Tom Savini is brought up often in talking about gore and effects, and my second pick is what I find to be Tom Savini's best work, which is the 1981 film The Prowler.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And if I'm gonna pick, well, there's so many great. There's Farley Granger's head getting exploded with a shotgun.
Great.
There's a really incredible scene of a woman getting her throat slit in a pool,
Mhm.
Mm.
which is shot from below in the water, and it lingers for way longer than you would expect it to. Uh, there is a scene where the woman gets a pitchfork in the abdomen, which then gets pushed further and further in, and it cuts back to it about 4 times. And you think the scene's going to be over, and then it cuts back to it again. Um, but the one that I'm going to talk about is where a man gets a like bayonet knife through the top of the head, and then the prowler pulls the knife up, and the man's eyes roll backwards, and all you see are the whites of his eyes. It is a shocking scene. It's and there's a good amount of gore in it too. Maybe not so much compared to some of the other ones, but the sheer audacity of it and how realistic and disturbing it looks is that one always jumps out to me. And I think if you're a fan of gore effects and you like Tom Savini, but you haven't seen The Prowler, like, it's an okay movie, but it features what I think is Tom Savini's best work.
I think I agree with you. I think I
Yeah.
agree with you.
I
Yeah.
don't agree with you.
No, don't you listen to him. He just likes to argue.
I agree that yes, it's fabulous work, but is it his best? I don't
What do you think
know,
his
man.
best is, though, Eric? To be
I'm
fair.
gonna I'm gonna tell you what his best is when it's my turn next.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. We're cycling through. No,
Not that I'm picking.
I'm
I'm just gonna. I could be picking another movie, but maybe I talk about Tom Savini. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
But
and I'm
Jared,
and I'm
Now
totally
I'm
with
on
you
the
on
edge
that,
of my
Jared. Yeah.
seat.
you
Because like
sold me on the effect of the bayonet coming out and the eyes rolling back in the head, because when I see that now, it still gets me every time.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Incredibly disturbing.
And it's really like a B- movie overall. It's pretty
yeah.
slow. Like, it's got some stuff, but like it's really nothing to write home about. But those kills go so hard, and it just like there's an unbelievable amount of craft going on there.
Steve, how dare you disparage the name of Farley Granger? How
I
dare you, sir?
would never. I would never. The
And your
Grange.
favorite
No.
director, Joseph Zito.
Of course, my pen pal from prison, I assume. I don't know where he is.
Well, Steve, I mean, you don't ever shut up about missing in action too.
I really don't. I really don't. People wish I would go missing in action too, so I would stop talking about it. Waka waka.
But, you saved yourself with that waka waka, by the way.
That's how
All right,
that's
all
how it
right,
works.
Robert. What have you got? Our own Fosse Bear, Robert Ottone.
So this next film is it's from the 90s, and it's one that I've talked about with Hanson on his podcast. And it is a movie that I can imagine no greater interpretation of hell. And it is Jacob's Ladder.
Yes, good choice.
Great practical.
The I've read the original screenplay, and the original screenplay is loaded with some very strong Judeo-Christian imagery for the demons and the angels and stuff like that. So it's nice that Adrian Lin was like, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to do something a little more subtle. And really gave us some truly terrifying stuff that is still being aped today in all manner of performative media, like the Silent Hill franchise really went hard in the paint with stealing from Jacob's Ladder, which I'm glad they did, because that's like my favorite thing ever. But the practical effects of like the head spinning, moving really quickly, using individuals with no legs and no arms to perform on screen, similar to what Todd Browning did originally, and just subtle things like instead of horns, as in like the traditional demon sense, having it just be like a nub underneath a nurse's hat and stuff like that. Those wings get me every time on Elizabeth Pena's thighs. That scares the hell out. It's so creepy and so luscious and gross, and it gets me every time.
And how about that tail in that dive scene? Yeah, I mean, it's very
Mhm.
it's a little sensual too, which no one's going to complain about that.
Even
Well,
the little
Adrian
thing,
Lyne coming in there. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
even like the little thing, like when he's having his fever and they put the ice cubes in the bath with him, knowing that the ice cubes are rubber, like plastic and rubber, still like it still feels cold to
Oh,
me. Like watching it still feels very, very cold.
yeah.
So yeah, Jacob's Ladder.
It's a great movie and it's a great pick.
Yeah.
The scene when they're dancing at the party and the tail comes out and stuff, that used to freak me the fuck out when I was young.
Still
Yeah.
does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nightmare stuff.
Guys, this is for all of you. The picks so far have been phenomenal. This is exactly what I wanted. So, Erik, I think you're going to be happy with my next pick because I'm going to stay on the Universal Monster
Salem's Lot.
train. Oh, it was on the short list.
Mm.
The makeup for Straker, come on. It is,
I mean Barlow.
Barlow is perfect. Oh, how could I have done that? Oh, well, I mean, James Mason has some fantastic makeup as well in the movie. But I'm going with Creature from the Black Lagoon,
Yes.
and I'll tell you why. First, because it's iconic, it's incredible. What they do with the Gill Man in filming underwater, it's realistic. It immerses you in that world. But the reason I pick it is because I want to give a shout out to Millicent Patrick, who actually designed the Gillman costume and got no credit for it at the time. Her piece of shit boss, Bud something or other, I can't remember his last name. I blocked it out. Took credit for it. And thank you, Jarrod. Mallory O'Meara, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Lady from the Black Lagoon, Lady from the Black Lagoon by Mallory O'Meara.
But she just deserves all the credit in the world for creating just one of the most iconic practical effects ever to see celluloid. So this is to you, Millicent Patrick. Well done. And Creature from the Black Lagoon. How can you not love that movie? So good. All right, Erik. I feel like we've got a Savini.
Is this it? Is this the final one?
This is the final one.
Okay, a couple shout outs real quick. Jason and the Argonauts by Ray Harryhausen. I
Mhm.
think
Hell yeah.
his stop motion is awesome. Intruder, first KMB effects from 1989, I think, slasher movie.
Yep.
2001, Douglas Trimble. He did the effects, the spaceship effects. I think was like really moved cinema forward. But my last pick is 1985's Day of the Dead by George A.
Mhm.
Romero, and effects by Tom Savini. Now, Jared, like you said that Savini's greatest achievement was
Wait. We have a
Prowler.
question. We have a question from
Oh
the
yes,
gallery.
go ahead, Robert.
No, not a question. I actually agree that that's Savini's best. I just want to say my cousin helped build the wall at the beginning when the hands come through because he was at
What?
Carnegie Mellon at the time.
Very cool.
And
That's awesome.
yeah, so George Romero pulled a bunch of students. My cousin builds and designs sets for Broadway now. But yeah,
It's
Nice.
fantastic.
pretty cool. Sorry.
Yeah,
This
no,
got
that's
really
okay. I
nerdy.
was just
But
saying, like, I do agree that Prowler, great fucking effect. I mean, all of Savini's effects are amazing, right? The stuff he did in Maniac, Friday the 13th, the first one, even part four with the thing in Jason's head, the machete in the head. I love all this shit. But I think the crown jewel of his career is Rhodes being ripped apart at the end of Day of the Dead, which when I first
Mm.
saw it, it it stunned me. Like I had to like go for a walk after watching it to get some fresh air. And
Yeah,
of course
Jarrod, I changed my answer. Eric's right. It is that.
we all know the backstory of that effect and what it took to get and what happened with all the real pieces of meat that they were using for that effect, and it went rotten. And the look on Joe Pilato's face is fucking real. Like he was going through it,
I
man. And you
think I think we can split the difference. I think we can say, no, you make a compelling case. So Day of the Dead might be Savini's best effects work. I would argue The Prowler is his best gore.
Mm.
I'll take
Yeah,
that.
there you go. We can split it hairs on that. Yeah.
So yeah, I love that film. It's my favorite of the Romero films as well, the zombie films. Day of the Dead is fantastic, and Savini's rad. So
Savini comes
there
out
you go.
swinging in that film just from the scene of the street scene where the zombie comes out with no jaw and the tongue's hanging out. You're just like, okay, I know exactly where we're going. And then,
Yeah,
but you don't, because then he just ratchets it up. Ah, Savini, fantastic guy.
he's
And
the
by all
coolest.
accounts, a super nice fella.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Steve.
All right, I'm gonna bring it home with kind of a left field pick, and I actually had to like Google some images to make sure because it's been a little bit since I've seen this movie. I had to Google some images to make sure I just wasn't talking out of my ass and that this movie actually looks pretty cool. And in fact, it does. Now, I'm a sucker for creature design. I love a good monster. I love a good like magical world. And I think this is done really well on a surprisingly small budget in the 1990 film Nightbreed, based on Clive Barker's Cabal. Some pretty
Yeah.
fantastic character design in that movie. Some great gore effects, the guy like ripping his own scalp off, and just creatures I'll always remember. There's that weird guy who looks like Mac Tonight, and then that porcupine lady, and and the movie's kind of, it's a bit messy, and it needs a little bit of energy, I would say, but it has some really cool ideas. I love this whole like netherworld sort of like realm of monsters
I believe
that
the
they
word you're
created.
looking for, Steve, is an underworld.
Oh, excuse me, an
They
underworld, an under netherworld. And yeah, it's a pretty fantastic looking movie, and I just remember it making a real striking impression on me.
I love David Cronenberg's mask in that film that they
Definitely.
made for
just gonna
that.
say
That's
that.
fucking scary, man.
That is a scary mask.
Cronenberg's going to be
simple,
acting in
so
something
great.
again pretty soon. I forget what I think. Is he going to be in the new like Knives Out movie, the new Benoit Blanc movie?
Oh, I hope
I
so.
read that he was acting again in
Great.
something soon. Yeah.
I hope I'm not opening up a can of worms, but I love those films.
Yeah. Oh, I love him. Yeah, absolutely.
They're
I've never
fun.
seen
Absolutely.
any of them.
They're fun.
Jared, what you got is your last pick.
All right. Well, I mentioned before that I was hitting a director twice. And so I'm coming back to Chuck Russell again. And
Hmm.
it's funny, I just learned today that Chuck Russell directed a remake of Witchboard, which
Yeah.
is uh which was just in is going to be in Fantasia maybe. It's playing fests now and
That's
it
Chuck
comes out in
Russell?
August.
I just saw the trailer the other day.
Yeah. So
That's pretty good.
yeah, Gingold wrote an article about it in the New Fangoria, and I had no idea that it even happened. So pretty excited about that. But when we're talking about movies where practical effects resonated, I mean, this is Patient Zero for me, the movie that basically kickstarted my love affair with horror, with wanting to understand how things are made. How did they do that? How did they make that look real? All of that stuff. It's Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors,
Hmm.
from 1987. And
It would have been
to
so funny if you swerved and said The Mask.
yeah, could
I mean,
could
it is smoking. You have to admit. Yeah.
no, but like image engineering and Peter Chesney's company, like they did such an amazing job. That movie was storyboarded to hell. Like just everything was drawn and conceived so well. Like Anton Tremblay designing the faucet that turns into Freddy. Like
Hmm.
that in itself was just this incredible prop that was made. And then if you talk about some of the like makeup effects and gore effects, the scene, the one that you go, the moment when I was a kid where I went, I need to know how this is done, is when the character Philip, who's being who's sleepwalking and being walked like a puppet through the hospital.
Yeah.
When there's a scene where it shows the camera's pointing down and it shows his feet walk through the frame, and his feet are kind of ripped up through the middle with the veins coming out.
Mhm.
And I was like, I don't know how they made that prosthetic. It looks so realistic. I was enamored. And then I think what drove it home for me is however they made the suckling mouths on Taryn's arm during
Hmm.
the scene where she overdoses, when Freddy's fingers become hypodermic needles.
Yeah.
Like it's just that I saw that movie and all of a sudden like the world of movies, movie making became a thing. Before that I was just a kid who was just like, "Oh, it's a movie. It's a thing you watch." After Dream Warriors I was like, "Oh no, there's a craft to this. Like somebody is doing this stuff and I want to know more about that." And now here we are 38 years later, and it is a large part of my personality and how I spend the majority of my time when I'm not working professionally.
I'm well spent, my friend.
Thank you.
All right, Robert, what you got for your third and final pick?
So I gave one of my honorable mentions already with the Lord of the Rings movies. I'm going to throw one other honorable mention just because it's a tour de force by this one creative genius, and it is Labyrinth. There are so many different mediums going on in this movie, from puppetry to just straight up character design, creature design, makeup, everything. Labyrinth is really just a tour de force for the Jim Henson Company. I know it's not horror, but Henson said a non-horror movie in his honorable mention, so I'm going to
I'll allow it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But I have to come back to Hanson's first pick, Willis O'Brien, King Kong. You can't top a giant. Here's the tea, right? I never felt bad for King Kong when I was a little kid. Never. In the one from the 70s with Jeff Bridges, I felt bad for him in that one for some reason. I don't know why. However, as an adult watching this now, I feel so bad for him. And there's so much emotion going on in that little weird puppet that I love so much. And it's so cute and it's so heartbreaking that it's impossible for me to not watch this and just have my heart broken every time the movie ends. And I just remember his heart beating. Everything about it. I remember being a little kid and being like, wow, how did they do that? And I'd already seen Jaws. And and that was another one where it was like, wow, how did they do that? And it was just like similar to Jarrod with Dream Warriors, that like seeing those two movies was like, oh, there's something way more. It's more than just like funny guy in a movie, or like those guys are going after a shark. Like, I don't know what I thought as a child, or what I thought like, oh, how'd they get a giant gorilla in Manhattan back in the day? I don't know. There's just something about it. I just remember watching this so much on Channel 9 as a little kid and just being like riveted and terrified. And then Mighty Joe Young and just feeling very happy. So like, I don't know. It just brings back good memories and it's hard to top. And I love seeing the armature that still exists.
It's like this big. It's like super tiny.
Yeah. But
they made it look huge.
I think Joe Dante owns it. I'm pretty sure.
No, it's Jackson. Right. Peter Jackson.
Peter Jackson owns it. Good.
Yeah,
he should.
He brought it to the premiere of King Kong.
That rules. I know. Oh, Joe Dante owns Robbie the Robot from Forbidden Planet. My all-time
That's pretty sweet. Robert, did you grow up with watching the back-to-back King Kong and Mighty Joe Young on Thanksgiving?
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys grow up with that as well?
No.
Yeah, here in New York, every Thanksgiving, and this went on for decades, they would play King Kong and then Mighty Joe Young, then Son of Kong on Thanksgiving on Channel 9, WOR. I don't know why, but I loved it.
Yeah, same. I just have a lot of good, and like the Honeymooners on Channel 11 on New Year's Eve, and Twilight Zone, same thing. Like, it's just all those like core memories that are like locked in there still on New Year's Eve. My wife and I watched the Lord of the Rings trilogy on New Year's Eve, all the extended cuts all day.
Yeah.
But if we weren't doing that, we'd be watching the Honeymooners and Twilight Zone.
Nice.
And I know, Robert and Sean, if it was in October, you'd be watching Shocktober on WPIX.
Please,
absolutely.
You know that.
Of course.
I'm going to bring us home with what is probably the apex of practical design. And I know you all have it at the top of your list, and that is the werewolf from Silver Bullet. I'm totally kidding.
Just Gary Busey in general. Yeah.
Yeah. Gary Busey's teeth. I'm going to go with Our Neighbors Up North, and I've got to go with David Cronenberg's Scanners. I guess I really love an exploding head.
Yeah, there's a theme in here.
Yeah.
I feel great about landing on this one for my final pick and wrapping it up with the exploding head from Scanners. It was honestly, Jarrod, much like you watched Nightmare on Elm Street Dream Warriors, this movie for me was how I got obsessed with practical effects and how did they do that, and how did they not explode a guy's head? I mean, it just looks so real. And that just started my fascination with it. And if anybody gets anything from listening to this tonight, I hope that it sparks that curiosity that we all have, and that they start checking out the engineers and the practical effects artists who make these things, because they deserve that.
Mhm.
Incredibly talented people that I feel don't get enough recognition, in the movie industry. Well respected, but recognition is a completely different thing, and they deserve it. This what they do is mind-boggling.
I would even
Absolutely.
extend that to makeup artists too.
Thank you.
Like makeup artists is a
Well
form
said.
of practical effects in every
Sean,
way.
do you know that they used a real shotgun to blow up that head, Cronenberg, on set, which you can't do that
Can't do
today.
anymore.
No.
But Cronenberg had a shotgun mounted behind the dummy and then like pull the trigger, bam,
If I
and that
if I
effect,
may,
legendary.
I just heard Bill Lustig talk the other day at a screening of Maniac about the shotgun with Tom Savini.
Yep.
And he told a really funny story, which was that one, that car is parked down by the Verrazano Bridge, and behind that car is the BQE, which is incredibly busy, highway or expressway. And they obviously were shooting at times when it wasn't that busy, but a lot of guerrilla filmmaking there. So Tom Savini is the one who shot the shotgun at himself, jumped up on the hood of the car, doubled, as Joe Spinell. But apparently, because of the natural, I guess, mist in the air, plus there was smoke in the scene, it made the hood of the car really slick. And what happened was when Tom Savini jumped up on the hood of the car, the kickback from the shotgun blast blew his legs out from under him, and he fell like face first just onto the concrete. Like there was no
Yikes.
crash pad, no mattress, anything
Oof.
set up for him. But they also used live ammunition, which they shot through the car into oncoming traffic, and then realized after the
That's
fact,
how
like,
they
we
did it back in
probably shouldn't have
1980.
done that. And they basically, Bill Lustig said, like, they threw the shotgun in the trunk of the PA's car or something and said, drive that to Staten Island right now. Just get that out of here. We didn't use that. I think that's it's so funny how they used to do things like that. And you mentioned Erica and mentioned Intruder before for really good effects, and so people were giving like honorable mentions. There's a similar effect to Intruder in it, but one that was on my short list that I had to cut: City of the Living Dead.
Oh yeah,
Hmm.
I mean,
gates of hell.
for the entrails alone, and then Demons.
Of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are some honorable mentions there.
It's funny. These are just the horror movies. I mean, if we open this up, guys, I mean, we could do a whole another 45 minutes on the Wild Bunch. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
we could do the whole crime subgenre of the 70s. I mean, there's great practical effects. The squib work from 1962 to 1978 is unbelievable.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
shit, Sonny Corleone alone. Poor James Caan would like 107 squibs, something like that. I mean, this is what I'm talking about, though.
I was really debating internally, like, how can I get away with calling Total Recall a horror movie? Like, can I fudge that
Maybe
a little
on it.
bit? It's kind of adjacent, but Total Recall's in the conversation.
Well, Steve, before you joined, I said, because we were putting the boost to you because you were late, but I said, how could you possibly, with that sweet face, how could you be mad at Steve? So you say whatever you want, buddy. You have carte blanche.
I'm not going to run with that joke because that would go poorly.
All right. I have to go record with Joe Velasquez. We are talking about Dangerous Animals, and 28 years later, it is going to drop August 13th, and I hope you guys listen. Joe is phenomenal.
Tell Joe I said hi.
Ride his coattails.
Yep.
Goodbye, my fellas. Wait. Here's your homework.
Mm.
Came up with the first two topics for our next desert island dorks. I'm expecting at least one email from each of you with a suggestion, and then we'll
Okay.
winner chicken dinner. How about that?
Sounds
Sounds
good.
Let's
good.
do it. Let's do it.
I hate saying goodbye to this cavalcade of handsome faces, but I must. You guys are the best. I love talking to all of you, and I'll see you.
See you, two of you tomorrow.
You got it. I
Take
got my
care, y'all.
name.
So long, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.